had some pressure washer nozzle that would work even better, but I don't know what I did with it now. Can't find it.
Now, which one of these bad boys did this? Digging up valleys, exposing my crate underneath the rock. The crate is totally visible in there now. Dug out all the sand and piled them on top next door, making mountains out of them. Certainly wouldn't be this little versatile plugger, would it? It's too small to do that. I suspect it might be one of these ruby reds that's in the background there. Maybe this guy, maybe another guy right there with the tank boss. Just trying to build a crib for himself and for him to hide under and develop his dominance.
Pretty much done. They're like breaking apart. So I'm not even gonna bother reusing them. They're cheap enough as this from Amazon, so I'll throw that away with that one. Some water up. These filter pumps have a lot of dirt. Just want to show that on camera, not that I'm keeping it. Come on. Just got these things to do. This side, the dimple side traps a lot of dirt, so make sure when you put it back, this side faces against the water flow. Okay. You need to really get these straight, really clean this. They can still end up trapping and having foam again. There's people who will criticize me for cleaning up all the bacteria, but I already explained it when I'm inside. If this is the only filter media you have in the surface, and you absolutely rely on them, then by all means don't rinse them. Only rinse them in tank water. Never under tap water like I'm doing right now. But if you have double the amount, if you have two FX6s like I do, you can sacrifice the media inside one of them. And as I already explained, largely depending on many factors. Your fish amount, your bio load, how much you feed, how much fish scoops. Still got some sand in there. I'm gonna clean every bit of it out. You don't want sand to get inside of your propeller, motor propellers whatsoever. That's good enough. I'll go back and reassemble everything. So I'm back inside. Before I put the FX6 back together, I'd like to show you the difference between my two FX6 chambers. The one on the right is currently running just fine. I did not take that apart. That's the one that houses the existing beneficial bacteria that I rely on. And even though I rinsed out all of the beneficial bacteria from these bio rings, whatever we call them, biological filter media. And also another thing is that as you can see on this chamber, I've installed a noise dampening foam on all corners and all sides of the chamber, except for the roof part. Okay, I don't know if you can see the charge roaming. I've stuck them. I think they come. Yeah, they come with self sticky. How do you call it? Sticky backside that you peel off, and it's sticky. You can just stick them to the back wall like I did over there behind the FX6. I also have them on the bottom below some of other type of noise dampening foam pads that I had at the time before I put these dampening foams. You know, I basically rigged those up as a temporary measure, and they're on the left and right sides of the walls too, as well as the back of the door panel. If you're interested in where to get these noise dampening foams, check out my link in the description below. If you're interested in buying one of these FX6 filters, I have the link in my description as well. I'll tell you, they are top of the line canister filters that I can't live without. I used to run a sump system for my 75-gallon downstairs, but ever since I switched to these larger high capacity canister filters like the FX4s and FX6, I tell you, Fluvo makes top of the line product. They did not pay me to say these things, but you judge it for yourself. I've ran this filter for over 2 years without having to do anything. It was just running smoothly. There's no leaks. There's filtering my water very efficiently. I hardly ever change my water. Some fish keepers religiously change, 10 or 20% of their water weekly, bi-weekly. I don't do that. I don't have that kind of time. I haven't changed the water in this tank in at least 8 months. I'm not ashamed of it. It's because of my stocking level, because the amount of filtration that I run, and I control my feeding. I'm not one of those who feed their fish 3 times a day like they're human beings. I feed them, if they're lucky, they get a feeding once a day. Sometimes I forget. I could go up to 2 or 3 days, before I feed them. I say on average, I feed them every day and a half to 2 days. So, all right, let me just make some room here before I start putting everything back. like I said, I'm doing this by feel. I don't have really a set system of doing things. I know how to go back together, but I would make up the orders of these where the different types of media go, especially your mechanical media and biological media. I just make them up on the fly. As long as you remember the direction of water flow, that is absolute key. Okay, so the easiest thing to do is to return these filters back into the trays. As you can see, these grooved sides, they fit over these grooved openings for your intake and outtake hoses, I guess. So this one will be my bottom tray. Stack it up. Make sure they're seating, stable, not like tilted. Otherwise, things aren't gonna fit correctly. Oh, and before I forget, these lifting handles, they have to go in. See these smaller grooves over here? They go in from the bottom and just hook it to it like this. That's where it gets held. And there's two of them, one on each side. This is maybe the only part of it that's a little clumsy. Maybe they could have utilized a different design, an easier design. See, it won't go on like this because you see how the shape of the handle is contoured to the perimeter shape of the trays. Alright. Yeah, my hands are more clumsy these days versus before. And yeah, as you stack additional trays on top, these arms should just clip in place. I hope, or we'll find out. Maybe I'm just making a fool out of myself. So these are the remaining mechanical foam filtration. This is where water comes into contact with the inside of your filter first. Yeah, this is the output to the filter. This other hose from the intake side of the filter is gonna bring water in from the tank on down. Water's gonna enter from the bottom. Alright, now suppose this is my bottommost tray. As water enters from the bottom, it'll rise up. Okay, it'll forever be rising up because it's constantly flowing. It'll rise up because the outer walls, because the inner wall now, the outer chamber are separated, and the three trays are stacked up. There's very little leak between each tray, so the water is going to rise up all along the outer wall, all the way to the top tray, above the top tray. Let's imagine this is the topmost tray now. As water rises up all along the bottom, all along the outer chamber first. There's no water in the inner chamber yet. It rises up until it passes the highest tray, and it has nowhere else to go. Then water will start pouring into the inner chamber. And because of gravity and the suction of the impeller housing down below, water will get sucked in downwards through the middle chamber, downwards. So that's the water flow. It first comes up from the outer chamber upwards, and it goes in to the center chamber downwards, and it'll make its way down. And the bottom of this bucket is shaped in a way that it channels water towards the input of this impeller, and as the impeller spins, it then sucks in and then pumps in the water outwards through this pipe. This pipe is fixed. There's no way to remove it. At least I haven't forcibly tried to remove it yet. It sucks it outwards and then through the output side, the output valve. That's what I'm trying to say. All right, let me continue here. So you can see I started with it being, this room being so bright. It's taking me like an hour already just to clean these out. And I don't rush, I take my time. I was really looking for my nozzle, the small nozzle where I can use it pretty much like a pressure washer nozzle, because I don't own a pressure washer. And that small tiny little nozzle is the closest thing to it. I couldn't find it. I left it outside like while I was mowing my lawn or something. I kind of just kicked it aside, now I can't find it. So okay, now these foams are all in place. The thing to do is to stock up the center chamber, or the middle chamber. I'll do it from the lowest one. As I explained how the way the water flows, all throughout the center chamber, you want the coarsest foam media to be in the highest tray. Why? Because as water goes into the center chamber from the top, you want the coarser media to catch the dirtiest stuff first, and then the medium coarse and then the finer mechanical media to be on the bottom. This way it filters the water and as well as polishing it. And you want your biological media to stay in the bottommost chamber, and that's exactly what I'm going to do right now. Why? Because by the time dirty water gets filtered and enter through the top, each layer it goes through, it becomes cleaner. By the time it hits the biological filter all the way on the bottom, you won't dirty up the biological chamber and clog up any of the crevices, or because these biological media are supposed to be porous. You can't see by the naked eye, but under the microscope they're porous. So really you only want clean water to hit it. I mean, relatively clean. Otherwise, once the porous surface gets all clogged up, it lowers the effectiveness of your biological media. So these FX6s, they come with trays. These trays that can allow you to like lift out your biological media if you need to, and then submerge them in water, get a quick rinse that way if you maintain it frequently. But as you can see in my application, I'm having a hard time fitting 2 bags of biological media into this tray. See that it won't fit, and then sticking out. See it's sticking out, and then the next tray won't be able to fit properly on top. Matter of fact, let me try. Give it a try. Yeah, you see, it's not sitting flush. Therefore, I'm gonna do it without the tray in this layer. All right, just 2 biological media down. Now, because hopefully you can see, because there's still a lot of room above the biological media, you have the option to put a layer of fine felt pad down to help polish additional water before it hits these biological media. Matter of fact, let me do that. I buy these ones by the roll. You see, as I've been cutting them out in the past. If you're interested in where to get these pads from, check out my link in the description below. As you can see, I'm running out of these pads, so I have to use my own link to buy more of these. Each roll has lasted me a good 3 years. And I use them in both my FX6s as well as my other FX4 downstairs for my 75 gallon. So there you go. Smooth out the edges to make them look nicer, but when it's inside the filter, who cares? Nobody sees it. them in, straighten like this. There's no right way or wrong way of doing these. Fill this bottom chamber with additional biomedia. For example, I got 2 more bags to do. I could have taken this media out, dump them on top of it, Matter of fact, stack them up like this, yeah. I have a hard time fitting, so. 2 bags in this tray, and then 2 bags in the second tray. And then each tray either above it or below it, ideally above it, gets a filter pad, like that. So the bottom tray is set. Here's the second tray. Goes in the middle. These handles to click in place is important. Flatten out these bags. Put another layer of these pads on top. Looking good so far. And we just got the top tray left. Okay, I got 2 more of these bags. I think the way I had it set up before is that the difference between these foam is that this foam is much coarse, and it has the dimple size. It increases the surface area on this side by like 100% or maybe 300%. All right, because it's contoured. So I'm gonna use this side to face up against the water flow, and then put this finer pad right below it. And this is where I can utilize that tray because it fits in perfect. I mean, I could stick it in without it, doesn't matter. But at this point, I'm just using it to fill the space like that. So everything's nice and neat. Gotta lift up these handles so the handle can go over the top of the tray to click in place. You could stack all 3 of these trays with the outside of the filter. I think that might be the more correct way of doing it. And then you lift the whole, all 3 trays, place them in all at once. But either way, I think my way is more stupid, but so be it. And at this point, the filter is ready to go in. Moving it as close to the final resting place as possible. Matter of fact, I'm gonna come out backwards. So I stick the vertical tray in. And then hey, look, I still got the original charcoal media that came with the filter, which I never used. Charcoal media, they go bad. They have expiration period before they become ineffective. So if I do use it, I have to change them out too often, which is the reason why I don't use it. What are these things doing in here? I had the motor facing this side. Okay. Now that's making more sense. There he goes. It'll be much easier with these valves removed. But I'm stubborn like this, so. Tightening all 8 of these things. These knobs. You want to
tighten the opposite ones at the same time, just to get the most even tightness. They be really tight. So the last thing you need is have any air going in or have any leakage or water coming out. Oh, I forgot to run my power cable behind the stand first. That's why you blend these things out. I gotta grab the plug from the opposite end. It helps to have one of these things so you can grab the plug. I'm gonna do it from the top. There you go. I'm gonna run it from the top so I can see what's going on. There you go. And drop it down. However, very important right now is do not plug it in until you fill the filter up with water. Just have the plug next to the socket for it to be ready to be plugged in. Don't plug it in. Set. Now is where we're gonna open up these valves on both sides. The water is being filled. How much the water level is dropping. It's dropped by at least a couple inches. And that gunk that's coming out is the detritus that's been trapped inside the hoses. When it's used to flowing one way, and then as you connect the hoses, water end up flowing the opposite way, flushing them out. It's okay, as soon as I start filtering, all that stuff is gonna get sucked back in. So as I go shake the filter, it's heavy. It's once again heavy, almost filled up. It's running fine. Check the surrounding area for leaks. Look at the landscape that they did. They're piling up mountains. It's almost like 1/3 of the tank height. They're building mountains over there. So as you can see, flow has stopped. This is normal after running for a minute. The Fluo FX6 is going to stop for like, I don't know, a minute or two to automatically, I guess it's waiting for any air to rise up to the top so it can purge air out some more. If I remember correctly. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong on that. So as you can see, the motor has stopped for a minute. Just gonna organize my stuff, put it away, jump, and feed some of these to my plecos.
I'm not gonna change my water today. I try not to change water along with at the same time as water as filter maintenance because there are also beneficial bacteria in the water column, although not very much. There's some. So any sort of beneficial bacteria in the sand, substrate, and the water is all going to help support the nitrogen cycle in your tank. So you don't want to remove that beneficial bacteria both from inside of the filter as well as inside the tank on the same day. So I'll have it. Let it run for a few days before I change. I'm going to change like 80% of the water since it's been way overdue. 6 to 8 months I haven't changed the water in this tank. So as you can see, water is low because that much came out of the filter. I'm not going to worry about it until I do a water change in a few days. Checking the chamber one last time, see if there's any leaks. So yeah, I would say for a day or two after filter maintenance, it helps to come back here and inspect for any trace of water surrounding the filter for leaks. Just keep an eye on it for a couple days. I mean, obviously you can't come back here and lose sleep at night and check every day, but if it's gonna leak, it's most likely will leak in a day or two. I haven't had it happen yet, but I'm recommending it as a fail-safe worst case scenario. Good prevention measure. After a couple days, surroundings look dry, that means there's no leak. You know what I forgot to put in? I mean, it's too late now, I'm not going to open it up. I usually use this polyfill as the last layer in my chemical filtration. These fine polyfill pads will help polish your water. Obviously, now when you use something like this, it's got a coarse side and a fine side. It serves the same purpose, but this is just one other type of water polishing method. A lot of people use this. I buy them by the roll. And if you're interested in getting something like this, check the link in the description below. So water is a bit cloudy right now, but it should clear up in a couple hours. So as you can see, the right side of my tank is darker. It's because of the fact that I got algae that's growing right under these LED lights. Once it's grown too much, it's gonna block out a lot of light. You guys over here, it's totally blocked. So I just been too lazy. It's maintenance items. You can take care of that. Take out the glass top and rinse that out in like 5-10 minutes. No biggie. So this has been an episode of Full FX6 maintenance for a major procrastinator. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall catch you in the next episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Appreciate it.